So hi everybody, my name is Michel Labrèche and I have written a book called The Wizard of Ste or The Sole Purpose, and this is a sequel to my first book, The Wizard of Ste, which was published in 1996, and in 2015 I did publish that book, and it's destined for the US market and the English market all over the world, including England. Now, over the course of my lifetime study that I did on consciousness, I met a lot of people. A lot of great people that had either an understanding of life but at a different level, either use very genuine products, okay, very acute and different, either inventors, doctors, and a lot of people like authors and speakers. So in the midst of this, I did meet my friend here, Stéphane Labelle. Hi, Stéphane.
Hi.
So Stéphane is a self-aware inventor, and he's been searching all his life, and I think he has grasped the actual problem on Earth, and he comes up with a very sound solution. So we're going to be discussing about his invention and how it could change the world in his view. So Stéphane, I know that you did a lot of stuff, and the first thing I want to point out in English, because it's different from the French interview, is that you've written a book that describes all your inventions. Why did you write a book about that?
It's a different way to protect the intellectual property than patents. Patents are okay because it gives you a certain right to contest someone who tries to use this technology. But when you are facing big corporations who have a lot more money than you, and knowing that it can take up to 20 years to be able to get a result from the court, the problem is that this span of time, for one thing, when you have a patent, you have to use the technology and put it on the market. But if you have a problem with someone who's using your technology, a copier that is much bigger than you are, then if you don't have the ability to go on the market due to this situation, automatically you're going against a certain responsibility that you have to commercialize this technology. With this, we are using the copyright, which is a completely different way of protecting the intellectual property, because if someone copies just a percentage of what you're doing, automatically it's like someone who writes a song, you know. If someone uses the music or a part of the song, they are criminally responsible, and the government will take care of them instead of you having to sue those persons.
So in short, what you're saying is that if you want to protect yourself, you do what you did, and because if you're not able to defend yourself and you are against big corporations that have $1 million Department of Law, basically it's not technically feasible to do this. So not to be David against Goliath. So if you want to be in that spot, then what you have to do is that you have to do a book, and then it will ensure yourself that nobody that could copy you would stick out and says, well, I did that and the guy cannot touch me. Because with this, you could say, well, we're not going to go to civil court, it's going to be otherwise, and I won't have to support $10 million lawsuit, and it's going to be a very more snappy, it's not going to be unraveled in 20 years. Mm-hmm. By knowing that, then the people will say, well, if they are copying you, they will say, how much does it cost? Because they will be surprised that a book exists, because they won't know about the existence of the book. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, they will say, well, now I'm caught, I have to settle down, otherwise I will have big repercussions.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us about your invention, because we discussed in French about 4 basic and 4 innovative things. The first one is nanotechnology that you apply on windows in order to save more energy. So how does it work?
It's very simple. It simply reflects most of the energy, meaning during summer, 99% of the ultraviolets and more than 90% of the infrareds will be reflected outside of the building, so you will be saving a lot of energy for cooling purpose. And on top of that, reflecting the ultraviolets will protect the skin of the persons inside the building and the fabric of the furniture inside the building. And this is also true for transportation, public transportation. If you treat the glasses of a bus, yeah, or a train, automatically they will save on energy and at the same time protect the persons who are driving the bus or the train and the passengers.
So we can see that your invention is really cool.
It's cool, but it's warm at the same time because during winter you keep the heat inside. The infrareds that would go out during winter will stay in. So you have two ways to lose energy through the windows. And even if you have the best insulation for the building, windows are a very...
The WikiLink.
Yes, exactly. So WikiLink didn't know about this before, but the thing is that we are able to make this WikiLink less weak.
So basically, this is one of your first inventions. And what does this invention as different when somebody would use a window that would contain inside like a gas like argon?
Argon, it's complementary, you know, you can use argon and this, it's not a problem. The thing is that argon reduces the conduction of heat, while this reduces the transmittance. Okay. It means that it's kind of a light, it's a type of light, but not visible. You have the infrareds and the ultraviolets that we are keeping in during winter and keeping out during summer. So we save on heating and cooling.
So basically your technology acts like a bouncer in a bar. Right?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Keep the good person inside and the bad person are thrown out.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. So, and you've been telling me that basically this is very financially affordable, and if you do your technology for a regular building, then you can save up so much in energy cost, and in a couple of years then you get back your net money that you put in, and then for the rest of your life or the life of your building, it will cost like 30-40% less than the actual cost.
Exactly. The payback time is at less than 3 years for a house, a regular house, but can be much less than that for a big building.
Okay, so let's go to your second invention.
We would like to sell this to, first of all, the big corporations and government, so that we can finance the development of the other technologies that you were talking about.
Because if you do this can be done actually because it exists and it has the patent and everything.
Yes.
You have the distribution system, you have the manufacturer, and you have everything, right?
We're working with the biggest, the best.
We only have to talk and get you on your business card, and then you'll be able to send somebody and we'll evaluate your building and we'll sign contract.
Exactly.
And then you can go on your next invention, and talking about that, the next invention is a special motor that has a lot of explosion and that gives something much more efficiency than the regular 4 times motor. So tell me about that.
I don't want to be too technical, but...
Yeah, the American shot, because we don't have a lot of time.
The problem is that some people will tell you have to make the difference between a motor and an engine. What we're talking about is an engine, but it's okay. Me, I don't care, you know, for me it's almost the same, but some people...
What is the difference between a motor and an engine?
We don't care, it's the name.
Okay.
An electric motor, generates mechanical energy from electricity. An engine, it generates mechanical energy from a fuel. So, that's it.
Okay, well, you educated me,
and
that's fine. So, but tell us about your super motor or engine.
The thing is that the weight to produce the same amount of mechanical energy, the weight of the engine will be 5 times lower. Okay, you need, instead of having to have a big car to transport a big engine, you need to have a car that is much less expensive to transport an engine that is much less heavy, and you need 3 times less fuel to do the same job. So instead of carrying so much fuel and so much weight for nothing, you can build a car that will be less expensive, much more efficient, and save on fuel like you have no idea.
But why do you save on fuel?
Sorry?
Why do you save on fuel? Because your motor
It
is
will
doing
be
what?
it will be 3 times more efficient on fuel.
Because there's more explosion, and then because of that, the efficiency is higher, and then it
It's
requires
only
less
the
fuel.
efficiency. First of all, just the efficiency by itself will make your car 3 times more efficient. But if you're not carrying an engine that is transporting and fuel that is weighing more than the cargo that you are transporting, then you are able to build a car that will be a lot lighter, more efficient, not only on fuel, but will cost less to produce and will last longer, and all these things.
So in short, you have an invention that will technically revolutionize, okay, the market, because of the size of the motor is much less, and the way it operates gives a consumption of energy fuel much less.
Exactly.
So by doing this, if you say it's 5 times less the weight and 3 times less the amount of gasoline used, then it can be like almost 10 times more efficient than a regular motor.
And on top of that, if you consider the carbon credits, it will pay for the balance of what you have to pay for the fuel.
Okay,
So
because your
let's
motor-
say that you're using a taxi, you're a taxi driver who's on the road all the time. Instead of paying for fuel, you're being paid because you're running on the track. So those people in Montreal who are starving now can make a living to transport people.
So you're saying you're going to be making money, the credits is not given by the manufacturer itself, it's given by the government because you consume less carbon or something like that.
Yes.
And then there's a credit for the, give some hope to people to say, well, if I use this technology, then we'll consume less, and then the government wants to favorize people who are doing that, right?
There's kind of agreements globally to exchange the carbon credits, because we think maybe it could be a good idea to be able to survive another 10 years, because we're killing ourselves burning this fuel the way we're doing. And this could be good for the big transportation, the big ships that are transporting our goods on the sea, because they are polluting. One ship is creating as much pollution as 50 million cars.
Yeah.
So just considering that you have maybe 3,000 ships circulating with the cargo, and more are coming, bigger and more polluting, burning fuel that is crazy polluting. This type of product, technology, can make those cargo. Okay, I'll start again.
Yeah.
Well, these. Go on.
Go, visit.
Me too. Okay, this technology will permit those ships to travel much faster for no cost of fuel, and will change everything.
Everybody will save. Now you're talking about the impact on the greenhouse effect, right? Because if there is less polluting gas at the atmosphere, then we'll be much less impacted by the rays going on the stratosphere and bouncing back towards us and making like a microwave inside the atmosphere of the Earth.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, and it's ecologic, and it's inventive, and it's more performance. And you're saying that you want to help out because your book, you want to say that everybody should have abundance in their life.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of energy for everybody on the earth. So in French it says l'abondance pour tous, but in English it could be transferred as everybody's need abundance.
Abundance for all.
For all.
Because we have so many resources. We have so many resources available. We just with the sun supplies 6,000 times more energy than what we're using globally. We just need to
Harness it.
Yeah, just 10% of the deserts. If we could transform 10% of the desert with my special version of buildings, these things could supply electricity, energy, and food for the world.
Mm.
Okay, so these buildings, in reality, could provide electricity for almost nothing, because we can finance those things if it's on top of the building for on 50 years.
Well, if you build a building, whether it costs like 500,000 or 500 million, if the building, the bigger it is, has some technology, nanotechnology on the windows, and on the roof you have other kinds of technology with mirrors that can grasp the energy of the sun, convert it, and then produce more energy than what it costs, then basically you have an asset that gives you money instead of having expenses. You have like revenues, and that's really important. But to go back to your motor, the motor runs with regular gas, but couldn't it not be run with like hydrogen or something like that that's more efficient?
For sure. Those same building can generate biogas. We can put the biodigester that will transform the gray waters, the organic content of the water that are rejected by our toilets, and transform that into a fuel that could be liquefied. Ideally, this same engine, if it works, it runs on propane, will be much more efficient than if it's working on regular fuels. But if it's running on natural gas, for every carbon you have 4 hydrogen, so it's one of the best way to transport hydrogen. But as you know, we need to liquefy it. So if we are able to harness,
that cost. When we liquefy into liquid gas, that's a cost to this.
It costs something energetically, like 25% of the value of the liquid natural gas is the cost of liquefaction. But liquid natural gas globally is growing 3 times more faster than natural gas itself. And natural gas is going to be used in a more intensive way than any other fuels globally. So the reason why is that it's cheaper. But the problem is that the way we are extracting the natural gas from the ground is not the right way to do so. Instead of doing that, we can produce renewable natural gas with those buildings for a very low cost, because we are able to install this equipment and have a payback time that is, even if it's 3 years, we can finance it on 50 years, so the cost for it is almost nothing. So we can supply the world. Yes, if this building would be also equipped with our cooling technology that desalinates water, like at the same time as we are generating an energy saving so important for cooling purpose. We are able, in those places where the sun is more abundant, 70% of the energy used is for cooling. So if we're able to supply cooling, and the cooling globally is expected to grow so fast in all the third world regions that it's expected to be multiplied by 3 times in the next 10 years. So we can supply the cooling, supply the food. You know that 70% of the food is wasted because they don't have access to the right cooling in so many regions. India, China, and even in America.
So what you're telling us is technically we're going back to an ice age, because it's going to be cool and a lot of cool in the air.
It's going to be that cool only in your brain, but for the rest of the world, we're going warmer.
Okay. So you say you wanted, previously you told me in backdoor that you want to fertilize, like the Sahara Desert and places like that, because with your system you will have like a side effect product which will be water, drinkable water. So instead of having like dust and sand and things like that, you'll have like really a nice place, with prairies, with trees and things like that. So it's really going to be flourishing.
Yeah, we are able to create greenhouses that will need like 8 times less water to produce the same amount of food. But even producing food in the deserts, many regions where the sun is so abundant, there's too much evaporation for the water that is coming down because there's too much heat. So if we are able to use other nanotechnology to reduce the amount of water that is evaporated by the ground, we are able to produce like twice the food with almost no water.
So tell us about your other invention that we have, because I know we are being restrained with time. Basically, you told me before, previously, that you have a mixed compound of regular water and seawater, and this was a best ratio to be able to transport cold. How does it work? You say you have something very special?
Yeah, it's a very simple technology. We're producing a mix of ice and water to transport the cold reference that is available in the deep ocean. If you go 600 meters deep in the ocean, you have 95% less marine life. So you're not affecting the marine life, which is very important for us, even if it's not important for everyone.
Yeah, the ecosystem is very important, and as you did point out to me, when you put tankers with liquid carbon, okay, and you decombine this in the, let's say, Sea of China, now all the cold is lost in the sea, and then the main temperature of the sea, instead of being so much, it's much less. And now this has an impact on the ecosystem over there. And then if you impact over there, everything has a rippling effect, because the life in the earth is like a big Rubik's Cube. And if you hit somebody here, at this point, there will be a rippling effect. So if you try to have a contingency on that, then you'll be able to use the heat that is inside the coal, but not to dump it in the sea.
It's a way to say it. Okay, 25% of the value that is transported by liquid natural gas is the cooling, is the cold, okay, the energy needed to liquefy. We need to keep the natural gas at minus 161 to keep it liquid, but when you boil it, before you can insert this natural gas into the grid, you need to boil and bring it to at least 10 degrees centigrade before putting it into the pipes. But right now what they are doing, they are rejecting, as you said, in a way, the cooling into the sea. But we can regasify or boil the natural gas while needing 10 times less volume of water from the sea. But we, instead of throwing back the cooling in the sea, we produce a mix of ice and water, because we're transporting, with the same volume of water, we're transporting 10 times more energy, cooling energy, with the mix of ice and water than just chilled water. Right now they are throwing the cooling in the sea because they don't know what to do with it. But we are able...
You'll show them.
Sorry?
You'll show them.
Well, yeah, we'll try. Because the thing is that the most important thing for human beings is to become free, to open the windows and the doors to new ideas. But all the engineers that exist today, and especially the business people, they say, hey, we always did it this way. It's not only when you work with stupid people that you see that. You can see that, you can experience this experience with the most powerful people in the world. They are afraid of new things because they are afraid to lose. Yeah, but being afraid, being open to new ideas will make a difference very soon, because, you know, this is a great opportunity. For $1 that you will invest in this, it will generate $2 every year, because they are wasting so much. Not only we are able to transport this cooling, we are able to recuperate the salt at the same time. We're able to desalinate 100% of the water that we pump from the sea. The value of the salt is worth more than the value of the water. But the value of the energy that we're transporting is worth at least 23 times the value of the water that we desalinate. I don't know if someone on this planet could use the water or the energy. The energy cost will be so much less than what it is right now. The cost of fuel will be almost nothing, because we will need 3 times less fuel to produce the same amount of electricity. But on top of that, because of the carbon credits, the less you have to pay for the fuel will be compensated by the carbon credits.
So basically, you did say that we have to know how to change our pattern, because in our minds we are being controlled, and then it's much easier to have something letting state or stayed in place, and it's business as usual. So basically, if you want to become independent and to be free, You have to be free from yourself, but from any conditioning that you would have, or people like dominating you, like from afar or physically. Because domination can be done with the straight physically, but it can be done with the conditioning of the mind. And when all the person are being conditioned and are accepting what is unacceptable, it means that they have made a very nice job. So our job, you and me, is to put out this.
A very sad job.
Yes, very
Because in
sad job.
reality, we are so conditioned. We think we are free, but we are not. Being in a free world means being free to think,
Yeah.
being free to see to be able to see the simple things and the natural things. You know, if it's simple and natural, this is the way to go. You know, we are killing the ocean, the forests, destroying the air.
atmosphere.
Yeah. So the question is not to know how much fuel we have for how many years. The question is, can we keep the air we have to breathe, because it's not a luxury, you know.
Yeah. There's a big controversy now about the life on other planets, because recently we had at the Pentagon, somebody came out who says, well, we think that we might not be alone out there. So I'm pretty much sure that life exists like in abundance, okay, all throughout the universe. And since there are billions of stars, like our sun, basically if civilization I've seen face not of the earth, but were born like just 1 million years before us, and on the cosmic scale, if we talk about 20 billion years, that's nothing. Try to imagine what kind of technology they could have. Of course, all the technology that you have are point out and are very innovative if we compare to ourselves. But if people are able to be distorting time-space continuum and going from 25 billion light years very far and coming here, it means that they must possess like totally out of this world technologies. So, of course,
we know how to do those things, you know, it's not so complicated.
It's to replicate what is done in nature, which is really easy and natural.
Einstein explained us how to modify the space and time around a certain ship. We know how to do these things. We just need to do it. We need a special engine that someone spoke to me about that is lighter and using less fuel. If you're using this engine to generate electricity from liquid hydrogen, we could have a spaceship that could modify the space-time around it, and instead of moving itself, it would move instantaneously somewhere else,
Yeah.
without even having to move. You would be sitting, taking your tea, and you would be already there.
The best way to travel is not to move, but to displace yourself without any energy loss.
Exactly.
So the Philadelphia experiment, you were talking to me and then something popped up in my mind, was an experiment by the government, I think it's 1947, something like that, that tried to put the force field electrically with magnetism around the ship, and then the ships could be technically radar free. But what did happen on that accident is that the people were melted to the fuselage of the boat and stuff like that. And I read about that, and this is a real event, and they make like a romance out of that, fiction. But it's only
Mr. Tesla was involved in this?
Maybe because it's more or less in that area, and since he was the #1 with the magnetism on Earth, he had about 150 patent, with magnetism. And of course, there's a lot of things that, what is really sad, is that a lot of people have great inventions, and they are all put aside by the one who controls the society, and they rule over us, and they decide that that person that have this invention is not fit for everybody, because they're going to lose money, they're going to lose face, they're going to lose their power over billions of people. So very seldom and few individuals are controlling the course of our lives, and we do nothing about it. So I think that we should do something by pointing out and diffusing those nice information that you have, and then if somebody goes in there, he will be making money, but it will be helping the world. And making money will be only a subsidiary mean of doing something right, richness of your heart, authentic, and that will be helping you and others at the same time.
Yeah, up until now, nobody wanted to go against these people because they were afraid of dying.
but at one point the people will say it's like Gandhi when he faced the England army. Yes.
The thing is that if we do nothing now, we are doomed. It's easy to see, you know. We have no choice. Those people who are not able to move because they are afraid of dying, I hope they will wake up now that they see that they have no choice but to move, including those people who have the power. Instead of ruling over a group of persons who are having problems to put money and food on their table, if they are able to rule on top of millionaires or billionaires, this means that if we give the resources to people and they are able to feed their family, become conscious and free,
they will become self-aware. But what's better than to control people with mind control and instate a regime of fear?
This is because they are limited in their thinking ability. But if they think the right way, okay, being on top of a group of persons who are able to bring good ideas, because you know I have a few ideas, but my purpose would be to create a new society, a new group of persons who would be able to say, hey, this is nice, but if we do this...
This is obvious. This is obvious.
Yeah,
so if it's obvious,
this is
then
stupid
let's go.
simple. Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah. But if someone has a better idea, and I know there are, I
we'll
know
be
others, I will put them in
course.
parallel with this or whatever, you know. This is only between you and me to hide other things that I want to put in parallel.
Yeah, well, then we have to do this solemnly, and we have to do this the right way. Otherwise, we won't be there to talk about it. So, but there's a new movement descending on Earth, and it's a life movement with consciousness, and a lot of people are being infused with that inner knowing, and they have their inner wizard. And with this, I hope that one day we'll be all wizard of us and wizards of yous. Okay, so for that matter, it's been very nice to talk to you, and I hope you come back for the next interview.
The idea is that the intensity of this energy that is keeping us alive is becoming more and more intense. Because we killed the Son of God, which is the love of God himself who came on earth. We killed him on the most cruel way that could be done. We killed him on the cross that represents the truth that he wanted to bring to us in the most cruel way. We created a gulf between us and the source of energy. We created a separation between us and the source of energy. For a certain time, it was kind of a wave, but this wave is coming back with more intensity than what you can imagine. And those who won't be able to fit in the path, to adapt to this, to the truth, to the real life. You know, you look everywhere around. If you're not, if any organism is not able to adapt to life, they are eliminated naturally.
This is Darwin's law.
This is natural. This is
Yeah.
life.
So
And
you want
I
to say-
believe that nature is the real things are natural and simple. That's what I've been trying to work on. You know, everything I do is stupid, simple, and I hope we can have the opportunity to enjoy it together. I'm not sure if I will be here to see it, because maybe I'm disturbing a few persons, but I hope we will be able to see that and enjoy a good
Glass of pure water.
glass of pure water, talking again about those things that are working.
And one day maybe we'll be able to transform this water into wine. Especially if we call the lady over there and we ask her for a bottle of wine.
Like you said, you know, we can transform water into energy. Okay, if you are able to do that with Mr. Stanley Meyer technology, but instead of feeding an engine that has only 35% efficiency, you feed an engine that is able to achieve above 90% efficiency, then you can fly a plane with this technology. But I did not tell you because otherwise probably I won't be able to be here next time.
So basically, in resume, in conclusion, what you're saying is that, you know, we need to learn to surf with the wave or ride with the wind, Otherwise, you will either plunge into the earth or into the sea. And that's okay because a lot of people will be able to be great surfers and some others will not be. And it's okay because we can't live life for others. We choose for ourselves. And this is at the base of discernment. And we do this, we join a movement of consciousness, or either we are separated and we are inside the wall. When you are inside the wall, well, basically, you will not be able to join with others in order to start a new civilization. So it was really interesting today, and we're going to do this next time. Thank you, Stefan.
To be able to survive in the world that's coming, we need to be able to adapt, and we need to be able to be free. So we have to stand up on both our feet and open our eyes. That's all I wish.
Merci.
Merci. Thank you.
Alors, c'était parfait. Bon. Phew, that's a wrap. On va manger, comme ça on vient ici, on laisse le matériel là, mais on va manger là-bas.